give voice to people who have no voice, you know? And I think that's what this should be about, you know? I mean, yeah, you want to get in and compete with him. You bet you do. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm George Justice. I'm the Dean of Admissions at Touro Law Center. No. I just walk through hallways and talk to people, you know? But, so I'm the Dean of Admissions at Touro Law Center. I know many of you, so I mean, many of you know who I am. But I've been there, it'll be 9 years in September. I was Dean of Admissions at Tulsa Law School for 6 years, and I was Dean of Admissions and Dean of Students at Ohio Northern for 5 years. And I was admissions director at Midwestern Seminary when I went to seminary. I went to seminary after law school. So I've read a number of personal statements in my life, a lot, thousands. I've helped make decisions on people coming to law school, hundreds of people. And you know, one of the great things about my job is when those people go out and like Mike will make a difference in people's lives, I get to feel like that maybe I'm helping him make a difference in some lives because maybe I helped him negotiate this process of law school and admission a little bit. Yeah, you want to get in and compete with him? You bet you do. You bet you do. And one reason you want to get in with him is because he's made a difference in lives and you can make a difference in lives. Never lose sight that you're here today for you and for those people who need you to come out and be their champion. There are people who will not have a better life unless you come out and help them have a better life. Never lose sight of that. It is about you, but it's about them too. And if that doesn't drive you to do better here and to do better in law school, I'd say do something else. So, the reason I'm here is to sit out here and answer questions for you. If it's about personal statements, let's talk about personal statements. If it's about letters of recommendation, let's talk about that. If it's about law school, we can talk about that. If it's about Touro, we can talk about that. But you know, I'm not in sales. You know, I'm counselor. I'm here to help you negotiate this process, which can be very daunting and very impersonal and very numbers generated and very dehumanizing at times. But it doesn't have to be that way. Let's bring a little bit of humanity to this process. That's why I'm here today. And that's why I hope if you don't know who I am and you don't know how to get in touch with me, you'll pick up my business card and get in touch with me when questions come up. That's why I do this. So you know, it's, you know, as you know, Touro's out on Long Island. It took me about an hour to get here today, you know, so well, not bad. And we have, as Mike was talking about, we have 15 public advocacy agencies in the building. You can start working with helping people put their lives together in the first year of law school. That's pretty unique. But it also helps you figure out what you want to do with this degree and how you want to express advocacy. And I think that's critically important. That's what law school should be, I think. Law school should be about theory, but it should also be, let's help you put this puzzle together to figure out how you want to express advocacy. It shouldn't wait until you get out of law school to figure that out. Let's figure it out while you're in law school. But we also get you to the courthouses in the first year to see if that's what you want to do or not. Let's do it early enough so you can figure out whether law school should be about the courtroom or not about the courtroom. And let's do it early enough so you can figure that out. So, yeah, we do some unique programs. We have part-time, we have full-time. You can finish in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You just got to finish in 5 years. But yeah, the LSAT is critically important. The reason you're here today is because I think this program helps you be a better law student. It helps you be a better LSAT test taker, but it's going to help you be a better law student also. And other programs, I don't believe, do that. Who knows if this guy or the person who was sitting next to Mike did very well or did poorly that day. You know, just because they can finish the test quicker doesn't mean they're going to do better. I mean, maybe it was all about tricks. I don't think this is all about tricks. You know, you've got to engage the process. This should be more than that. You've got to engage this process because you need to engage the process of law school and you need to engage the process of learning. I mean, if Peter tells you nothing else, he will say, prepare so you can be better at this. It's all about preparation. If you aren't willing to do that, then I would say I'd walk out now because I don't think it's worth it. Because you aren't going to be a good advocate. And that's what this, I think, is all about. So, if we want to talk about scholarship money, yeah, he got $17,000 now that he said that he got $17,000. But you know, one reason he got $17,000 is because I know he's going to make a difference. He's going to engage people. He's going to help people have a better life. Why shouldn't that be given scholarship money in addition to an LSAT score? Right? We think that's important. So I guess enough of my sermon today. I actually have to talk in church tomorrow, so this is really not preparation for that. But let me know how I can be helpful to you. As I say, if you do nothing else, pick up my business card and give me a call. Come visit us. Come visit a class. See what this is about, and figure out, you know, if we can help you put the puzzle together a little easier. I'll try to help you do that. Okay. But you know, one thing, if I walked in here today and said, you know, the LSAT's in a month, how do you feel about that? Can you imagine what people feel about that if they haven't done any of this? And you're going to have those people sit next to you in that LSAT test. Be prepared. Be prepared. The LSAT's worth it, but you're worth it, and the people you're going to help are worth it. And never lose sight of that. It's important to be here today. As it will be important to be in law school. If you want to get there, let's fight to get there. Okay. Thank you, Peter. Anybody have any questions? I mean, I don't want to take away from the time here, but if there's short questions, I'll be happy to answer. Sure.
I have a question. If you're taking the LSAT for the second time, do you guys wait for that score to come in before you look at the application, or do you look at the application before the score comes in?
It depends. Our goal is to make a decision based on all the information we can get. But if someone's already taken the LSAT and they want us to go ahead and review their file, then who knows? I mean, maybe we could admit based on that prior LSAT, and when the next LSAT comes in, if you're taking it a second time and you improve the score, then maybe we can augment scholarship, that type of thing.
Okay.
So that's kind of up to the candidate. We really leave that up to you. So the presumption is we will wait.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want us to go ahead and take a look, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, our philosophy is we want to make sure we have all the information together. So that's the philosophy. But yeah, if you can, once again, if you have my card, you can call on me and ask us to do that. Otherwise,
Well,
that's not
actually,
possible.
I would like them to wait for the second score to come in.
Mhm. So generally, we will wait for the second score.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the key is if we know there's another score coming, there's not going to be any deny.
Okay.
There could be an accept, but there's not going to be any deny because that score may bring you into accept range.
Oh, okay.
So, because once a decision's made, it's a final decision for that year.
Okay.
So the last thing we want to do is to make a hasty and a premature decision.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question is that I come to this class and obviously it's totally recommended. And I found that I really cannot take the June exam.
Okay.
I really feel it's a briefing and everything, it's a skill, they're very important. So I'm not going to take June, and obviously my application will expire, right? Because I applied for the fall, and I'm trying to take October.
Okay.
Is that probably, when we get out, what is going to happen in that similar case? What is going to happen?
Well, and that reminds me to tell you that we have a January admission now. So you could, if you take the October LSAT, now have you taken the LSAT before? Remind me, have you taken?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we probably need to talk about, if you've decided not to take the June test, let's just have a conversation about that and how that structure happens. Because if an application is in with a current LSAT score, then we can go ahead and make a decision for this year. But it doesn't mean that, but you need to let us know if you want to go ahead with the application as it exists, or if you want to pull back the application and then apply for January, let's say, with the October exam.
Okay, I hear you.
So that's where we need to have a conversation, because that's about you. I mean, that's a personal thing about you. So let's figure out what the right next step might be.
Okay.
That make sense?
But it makes a lot of sense, but my brain is still like it was.
Well, I'm out here. Well, but I mean, if you don't want to take away from the time in here and you want to talk later about this another day, we can do that also. Yeah, but we probably need to find out what we want to do about that current application as it exists now.
Okay.
So let's figure out how we want to proceed with that for you, okay? Okay,
I hear you. Yeah, thank you.
great. Yeah. Hi.
Do you have any cards on you, or can you put your contact information in the board, please?
Well, I've got my business card out
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, so come by and pick that up, yeah. I mean, my last name's Justice, so it's kind of easy to remember. So it's gjustice@turollaw.edu is my email address.
Okay.
Yeah, but pick up a business card, yeah.
Thank you.
There he is.
Yeah, you talked a lot, and listen, I really share your philosophy. Every time I talk to you, I'm so inspired by, you know, the good work that you're doing.
Oh, you're kind,
You
thank
mentioned
you.
briefly that you have 15 public advocacy program at the school. Can you talk about what these are? I know you and
Oh,
I
sure.
spoke about the mortgage and foreclosure,
Mhm.
and I spoke to one of the professors there. But can you elaborate, like, really briefly on the other 14? What are these programs? Or
Okay.
clinics, I should say.
One reason that developed is because, I mean, we have a dozen clinics, as most law schools have clinics in the country, you know. But the reason the uniqueness occurred is because when we moved to the new building, they moved to the new building in Central Islip because it's right across the street from the federal courthouse. So the vision was to be in a place where we could get students into the courthouses during the first year so they could figure out whether courtroom is what they want to do or not early enough. So then if it's courtroom, they could do court collaboration all year, all law school. If it's not, we've got time to figure out the other areas of advocacy to look at. But this building is larger than we had in Huntington. So with that extra space, Turo's heritage has been matching experiential work with the theory of the classroom. So that's been their heritage. So they were working with a lot of public advocacy agencies anyway in Huntington. They just didn't have the room to have any offices in the building in that regard, and nobody had done it anyway. So then when they moved to this new building, they had room to, you know, well, let's see if a public advocacy agency wants to be in the building. So then it's convenient for our students. Students can visually see what's going on and figure out if maybe that's an arena they want to go into or not. And so once again, nobody had done it before, so it was an experiment. So they thought, okay, we'll see if anybody wants to come into the office, into the building. So they had room for 15, and more than 15 agencies wanted to move into the building. And the trade-off is they get their offices either free of charge from rent or at a reduced rent, because that helps with a lot of budgets with these agencies as well. It helps them do better work by cutting down overhead. So then the agreement was that they would deeply integrate our students with what they're doing. And so the reason that can start in the first year is because we don't necessarily have to go to court. You know, there are a lot of ways we can help people through public advocacy that don't necessarily have to have those prerequisites that you need for the clinical operations, like evidence, those types of courses. So, so what we do is we try to keep a number of the agency diversity as to how they can express law and advocacy in a pretty broad diversity. So anything from domestic violence to juvenile defense work to immigration issues to class action suits to first-year law students who are helping uncontested divorces move through the court system. They're being supervised, of course, but they're getting an idea about whether family law is right for them, whether the courtroom is what they want to do, but they get to learn what it's like to work with people and help them put their lives back together. I mean, these uncontested divorces many times aren't going anywhere because they're so low on the priority scale of the courts. The dockets are so full. So because we had built this relationship with the courts, the judges gave us permission to allow our first-year law students to help those cases move forward, under supervision, of course. So, once again, that's not happening anywhere else in the country. You know, so that's part of what public advocacy is about, is helping those agencies work with people and helping them put their lives back together. I mean, it may be the VITA program where they're elderly who need help putting their income tax returns together. I mean, early April, we had a line down the public advocacy hallway because people were coming in who couldn't afford to go out and get a CPA to fill out their income tax returns. So our students got to help people on the business and corporate side of things in that regard. So we try to keep, plus there are public advocacy agencies we work with that are outside the building as well, because there are a lot more than 15 who need help. It's just that the convenience is we have 15 in the building. And that's completely unique with us. Nobody else does that. Remarkably to me, but nobody else does that. But nobody else puts students into the courthouse the first year either. Remarkably to me, but that's kind of what we do. We do it a little differently. Yeah. That help?
Tremendous.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions about letters of recommendation, personal statement, about timing, scholarships, part-time, full-time? Oh, I heard a no.
But he raised his hand, so.
Oh, there you go. We'll go with a hand.
I'm gonna have to do a night program.
Okay.
Have a night program.
Mhm.
How long's your night program?
We do. We have part-time evening, which, good thing you asked, because there's less and less of those programs out there, it seems, which is sad. because people who can only do part-time kind of need to be in this forum as well, bringing your perspective. So we have a 4-year and a 5-year part-time evening program. The distinction between those programs is that the first year is very predictable for us because, as you know, most at ABA-approved law schools, pretty much your first year is pretty much set in stone because it's foundational. It wouldn't make sense to take contracts in your 3rd year. You really need to take that in your 1st year. So that predictability allows us to know that if you do the 4-year program, you'll be going 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. The classes are between 6:30 and about 9:45 in the evening. If you do the 5-year program, we know the first year you'll be going 3 nights a week, probably Monday through Wednesday. And then after that, it depends on what classes you take because you're getting into electives. But we know the first year is either three nights a week or 4 nights a week, depending on whether you do 4-year or 5-year. But that's basing on your going only fall and spring. If you add summers to that, you could reduce 4 years down to 3.5 for completion. You could reduce 5 years down to 4 years for completion. And let's say if after the first year you decide that you want to go and ramp up to full time, you could do that as well. So, but that has to happen after the first year because of the continuity of those classes. Yeah. And there's and we have a variety of full-time and adjunct faculty who teach both in full-time as well as in part-time evening. So sometimes people presume that the part-time evening is probably solely adjuncts. We have great adjuncts, but we want a combination of both full-time professor and adjunct professor in both the full-time as well as the part-time. And there's scholarships up to full tuition for part-time as well. Yeah. And it's about 1/4 of the entering class is part-time evening. So our entering class is about 180 usually. We'll see what it is this year. That's kind of the goal. And so it's about 1/4, between 1/4 and 1/3, but it's about 1/4 of the entering class is part-time evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to go more about the letters of recommendation.
Letters of recommendation? Sure. Well, law schools will vary as to what they require. Some law schools will require 2 or 3 usually. We don't require any. I just think they're very important. So I would say 2 or 3. And the more recent your prior academic work has been, I think the more important it is that you have an academic letter or 2 in that file.
Okay.
Because if you just graduated and there aren't any academic letters, you're wondering, did they not go to class? Did they not talk to their professors at all? Because that should be the prime candidate, generally. But we also, because we're looking at everything in the application, we believe in the holistic nature of this process. If you've worked with somebody professionally and they know that you're great gifts for law school and your talent, then that would be a good person to ask for us as well. So maybe 2 academic letters if you've just recently made academic work, and then maybe professional work. But if it's been 20 years because of our part-time evening program, if it's been 20 years since you've been in undergraduate school or your other graduate study, then it's going to be hard to go back and get an academic letter. So in that case for us, professional letters would be fine.
Yeah, I graduated in 2011, so
Mhm.
I hope they remember me. These are professors.
Well, I mean, you might, I mean, if you've kept up a relationship, I would say consult them and kind of bring them up to where you are, So, but that's kind of up to you. Yeah, I think that's where we're okay with professional letters if those are people who can speak directly to your success potential for law school. And letters for us, you got to watch law schools because law schools will encourage different kinds of letters for us. And I think for most law schools, the best letters we can get are from people who know what the challenge of law school is about. So what challenge you will face in law school. They've been able to directly observe your talent and your gift and your ability to do law school and can say in that letter, boy, he or she's ready for law school and this is why. Give us specific reasons why they believe you're ready for law school. And if you did that with the President of the United States, that's great to get a letter from Barack Obama. But if you don't know him at all and just went to a campaign rally, that's not going to help. We get letters from governors and senators every year, and you don't know any more than they shook their hand at a campaign rally. Doesn't help us. It's just name dropping at that point. We would rather hear from someone we have no idea who they are, but who knows you very well, knows law school very well, and can help us help confirm that you're on the right track and this is the right track. Okay? Does that make sense for everyone? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we'll go here and then we'll come back.
Would you have to get your professors to write like more than one letter to different law schools, or they just write one and you send?
No, they'll send them directly to LSAC,
Mhm.
and then you can have letters there at LSAC, and then you can specify which letters they go to which law school.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. And one key, don't let the first conversation you have with whoever this is be, will you write me a letter of recommendation? Build a relationship. You know, these are with people who should know you very well. So, and hopefully it's people who know you so well that they would volunteer to write you a letter. I mean, those are great, you know. So, you know, relationship is important in all this process. So make sure you have a conversation with them before you actually ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you.
And the
Yeah.
personal statement, you have any, because I know you said that the guy, Michael,
Mike.
you gave him $17,000 because you felt like he was going to help other people.
Mhm.
So that's through his personal statement, correct? So,
It
That-
probably was. Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably was. Yeah. And, or it could be a diversity statement, but it probably was his personal statement. And maybe his resume that talked about some things he did outside of the bartending job he did. You know, the other things he did that showed that, yeah, there's reasons that he engaged, you know. So there's a lot of different ways we can pull that information. But personal statements are also, can be very individually defined by particular law schools. Some law schools will give you very specific issues you have to address. And if they do that, make sure you address those issues. Most law schools are like us, where we want to see what you do with a blank page, frankly. And we don't want to force you into a discipline of issues that may not at all address why you want to go to law school. We want to hear your story. So I would say help, in 2 to 3 pages, help us understand why you are convinced the law school's right for you. Why is the right next step for you? And what is confirmed that this is the right path for you? So that's what we're looking for. But he was exactly right. Don't just throw a quote in there just because you feel like it balances it off or something, you know. If you can use a quote that you can develop throughout that personal statement as to why that focus has been important for you, then that's fine. That's fine. But don't just throw something in there just because it might look good, because there's quotes in there, you know. Make sure it flows into that development of what your personal statement is about. Okay? There's some great quotes out there. Just make sure it falls into why you want to do law school. Yeah. Yeah.
In regards to the January admission, is that still a 3-year program?
Let's say that again. I'm sorry.
In regards to the January.
Oh, the January.
Is that still a 3-year program, or is it like a 2.5-year program?
No. It's either the 3-year full time or the part time you can get in as far as on January as well. Yeah. The 2-year program actually starts in May. So they're going to, and then you will finish in 2 years, basically, because you're taking every division that we have. You're going to the same classes, but you're doing intersession, you're doing summers, you're doing fall, spring. So you've got to get that 88 hours in 2 years. So they will graduate with the class in May, but they'll do it in 2 years.
so a person that's entering in January, can they take like the January, then they could do summer and things like that to go back?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, yeah. So maybe that helps a little bit too, yeah. They could accelerate if they do extra beyond the semesters, that type of thing also. Okay. Yeah.
Would you have to apply separately to do each different program, like the 2-year or?
No. What we want you to do is apply for the division that you believe is right for you. You can check off whatever that is on the application. But then I tell people, once again, we're a little more flexible about this. If you're open for consideration for other programs, then I would put that in your application.
Okay.
Because the requirements for admission to the 2-year accelerated program are a little higher just because it's so intense and it's so concentrated and continuous. So if someone, maybe we can't get them into the 2-year program, but we can get them into the 3-year program, it would be important for us to know they'd be flexible to do that. So that's what, for us anyway, I'd communicate that. I mean, drop me an email or something like that. Just make sure we're in the loop and know what's going on, okay? But choose the division you believe is the prime division for you,
Right.
okay? Yes, sir.
Is there flexibility once admitted? So let's say you were admitted into the 2-year program and you decide, you know what, I want to do the 3-year program, or
Mhm.
there's a life circumstance and I need to do the part-time program.
Mhm.
There's flexibility in that way.
That's right, that's right. There won't be a trap door at the end of the 2 years and going, you didn't make it, so too bad. No, if you, that may happen in some law schools, but no, we try to work with you, you know, life happens, you know. And that's one thing about this balance too, which I think is great about this program, this focus program, is you gotta balance this out getting ready for the LSAT, you gotta balance life out as far as law school, and you're gonna have to balance life out as far as the profession. This is gonna continue to happen. And so you just got to make sure you're as prepared as you can be for whatever endeavor you're getting involved in. So then when life happens, you can still go to court for your client. You know, you can still come to law school class. You can do those things. But yeah, life happens and sometimes it's got to be flexible. So yeah, that's the reason we try to be as flexible as we can be, yeah. We want to get you through your 88 hours in as strong a manner as you can within that context of 5 years. And so we're going to try to work with you however that might happen for you. Great questions, everyone. This has been fun. Yeah, and new questions. Haven't gotten some of these questions before, so that's kind of nice. Well, I'm going to be here, you know, so I'm here. Oh, I see another hand. Yeah.
If someone is enrolled in the pipeline program here,
This is so scary because when you raised your hand, that's exactly what I thought of. Because I just about said there's something else I want to say, and that's exactly that's scary for both of us probably. Yeah, but yeah, if you do the legal writing class here and you do the focus program, then yeah, we will accept you as far as what our program will be in Turo. So which means that if you do both and you get a 148 on the LSAT, and you're acceptable in all the other ways, then yeah, you're acceptable at that point. Which doesn't mean that if you get below 148, you can't get in because of the rest of your application. But yeah, that is there. Plus, if you are accepted and come to Turo, then we will reimburse the cost of the program in scholarship in your first year.
What's your median score process?
I'm sorry.
Your median score, like, for cases 153, what's
Mhm.
yours?
Yeah, we're looking at about a 151. Yeah, I say the goal, because once again we look at everything, the goal is to do your best, but use the goal of trying to get into the 150s. But once again, it doesn't mean that if you get a 149 and have a strong file otherwise that you can't get in. But I think that's a good goal, for us to be in the 150s if you can. And that way it helps us with scholarship award and that type of thing too, because we want to award you as much scholarship as we can. But there's some LSAT GPA requirements in that regard that are augmented by the rest of your
What
application.
would that be?
The other things?
No, what the GPA?
Over 3.1, something like that. But once again, a 3.1 in one discipline at one school is going to be very different than a 3.1 in another school in another major. So, and what you were doing, it was surrounding that academic form. So that's the reason the numbers themselves are just not enough for us. So we want to look into that and read transcripts and hear your story and those types of things, because numbers should never fully define anyone. But society's all too quick to feel like it's fully judged by a number or by a statistic or characteristic, and that diminishes the worth of the people, I think. Unfortunately, I've been at schools that allow me to think that way too. They do too.
Let's go on the assumption that, your application, you have a decent GPA and all the other factors that you're looking for. What LSAT score can, I don't know if this question makes sense, but what LSAT score would guarantee that your legal education is paid for in full? Can we say, okay, if I get a 160,
Oh, you mean where do we talk about full tuition?
Yes.
Once again, if the rest of the application is very strong, we've awarded full tuition at 159 this year, both full-time and part-time. Yeah, I've got somebody. These are great conversations. There's a guy I've been working with who is, I think he's going to come to Turo, and so because it just fits. But he called and he called about his LSAT score and everything, and he's got a 157, I believe. Very strong file otherwise. So probably not gonna be able to do full tuition, but we're gonna get pretty close. Because the rest of his application is so strong. And the engagement he's had with what he's done in life really shows that he's probably gonna be a pretty good law student and professional, because he's gonna fully engage in this process, which means probably gonna be a good student.
Right.
You know, there's some people who do very well in the LSAT and they aren't willing to work. You know, if you aren't willing to work at this, and once again, if you don't understand why you want this, and I just think that could be problematic. You know, I mean, the LSAT's going to tell us some things. It's going to tell us everything.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as the scholarships goes, do we have to apply to get a scholarship? Or?
No, you're automatic. Once we make a decision for admission, then we make a decision right then about scholarship award. Also, one thing about scholarships too, which is a little different with us, after the first year, we raise a lot of money for scholarships for people to award after the first year, and after the first year, it's based solely on how you do in law school. So all the other stuff's gone. It's just because every year we'll bring in people that maybe we believe in and we think they're going to do great work, but maybe the LSAT isn't as strong to get us in those higher LSAT or scholarship ranges, that type of thing, and then they come in and they're stars. So we want to make sure that's rewarded. So not every law school does that. So we just think it's critically important to reward students who do well. But yeah, there's no application for it. Oh, yeah, sorry.
What is tuition?
$45,000 per year, full-time, and part-time is about $35,000 for 4 year, and 5 years by hour, but it comes down to about $27,000 per year. Well, I hope this has been helpful. This is fun for me. Yeah. But like I say, if you don't have this, what you need to do is in this room. This is what you need to do today. So because I want you to be as ready as you can be for this LSAT and for law school. So my goal is not to take away from this, but I'm out here. If you'd like to talk, we can do that. But I'd say, yeah, if you don't know how to get in touch with me, please feel free to pick up my business card and let's fight for this. It's worth it, right? Well, good luck to everyone, and congratulations on being here. It's an investment in your future, and it's an investment in the future of a lot of the people who need you to come out and help them make life come back together for them. Okay, thank you, Peter.
Thank you, George.
Good luck, everybody.